Good morning, guys. It's your boy Shanus, and today a little bit of education. Alright guys, so it's a beautiful Saturday morning. You could probably maybe hear the birds chirping, but today I stand behind the Veloster Turbo, mine, for a particular reason. And actually, I'm gonna get down here real quick. As you can see, and as many of you guys that have been following me know, that I drive a 2016 Veloster Turbo R Spec. And so there's a unique reason why I'm actually standing here, and that's because before, if you wanted to get as close to something of a performance model, you opted for the R Spec, which is what you see right here behind me. Now, I should really clarify, this isn't anything like the N. This was basically Hyundai's quick attempt to basically give you a bare bones model, strip you of all the things that you don't need in the name of performance. So clearly, there's nothing really special about this car besides the fact that two things. They claimed that they had stiffened up the suspension, and number two, you could only get it in a manual. Technically, there was a third, and the third was the thing I just mentioned earlier, which stripped of unnecessary things. So for example, something that in my opinion probably wasn't a major thing was that they actually got rid of the push start in this, along with a lot of the whole keyless entry and whatnot, again in the name of weight reduction. So if you guys have ever seen me review this car, for example, there's no LED turn signals on the side mirrors. There's no option for the tech package. There's no way to get this in a dual clutch or an automatic. You were stuck with a short shifter, which was one unique thing, 6-speed manual, and of course the coveted 1.6 Gamma turbo engine platform, along with, again, tighter suspension and a few other little traces like the red interior and whatnot. But I say this because today we're going on a little road trip. Not really far, but it seems like Hyundai is actually doing a lot of changes. Some good, some not so great, which I'll dive into in a moment. But there's a new kid in town. Alright everybody, say hello to the new kid on the block. This is the 2021 Hyundai Elantra N-Line. Now, the reason why I was so focused on the badge is a conversation we're going to have in a moment. But real quick, I'm just going to give you guys a little quick rundown. This isn't a review. This is actually my opinion of this car. But I do believe that this car is going to be a significant platform for the KDM community that maybe just weren't sold by the original Elantras that they offered back in the day, or even the Veloster 3-door hatchback. Again, because in a sense, this is a little more practical since it's a full 4-door. But this badge, this definitely kind of shows the future of where Hyundai's going. And I hate to say, but this is probably replacing the R Spec lineup, which, to be fair, wasn't a huge deviation. And like I said, I'll get into that conversation in a moment. But look at this beautiful thing. Alright guys, so sorry for the abrupt transition. We are at home base. It started drizzling. I did get to test drive the vehicle, so I will make a separate vehicle. I'm not doing a full-on review because there's countless YouTubers that have already reviewed this car. But I'm going to give you my point of view and how I felt behind the wheel. TLDR, it actually is quite an amazing vehicle, to be honest. The platform is just really solid. But as you know, I kind of built up this whole video with the whole R Spec to N-Line, and there's a particular reason why I'm focused on that. And the reason why is because this year in particular is a major year for people trying to basically jump onto the KDM platform. Now the reason I say that, and I know some OGs of you, you're gonna say, hey, you said that before when the 2nd gen Veloster came out. And true, I did say that, but that was for a completely different reason. You see, back then that was the first time that it actually allowed the 1st generation Veloster to be sold at a cheaper price bracket in the used market. This, however, is a big deal because it actually creates a variety of KDM platforms for people to choose from. For those of you that saw my update video earlier in the year, you know that I mentioned quite a few platforms like the new K5 Kia, which is essentially the Optima and the replacement to the Optima platform. We already know there's other options like the Kia Stinger, the new Sonata N line, the Veloster N, so on and so forth. Now the reason why this is kind of a major thing is because this is actually the gateway to affordable performance vehicles. Before, the only option you really had was to choose a Veloster and just kind of stick with it. And then for a brief moment, there was the Elantra Sport, which then was basically replaced by the Elantra GT hatchback, which had a sport version. And then technically the first real N-line was the Elantra GT N-line hatchback. And that was kind of a greatly toned down version of what the i30N, which is the original N car, the hatchback that was sold in Europe, was. I think honestly this is just really amazing because now you have a lot of variety, not just like I said with the Veloster, but now you can technically afford the Elantra N line. They have new platforms coming out like the Kona N line and the Kona N, and just a variety of others like even the Tucson N. Now the reason why this car is kind of a big deal to me is because of the fact that clearly this is going to be a more mass-produced vehicle. The reason why I state that is if you honestly look for or you try to see other Elantra Sport platforms, there's not many of them. The GT hatchback didn't unfortunately sell as much as people thought it would, and to be honest, they really didn't make that many either. So it's kind of one of those rare niche vehicles. As amazing as it was, there's not many of them out there. However, literally just look up #Veloster and you'll see dozens, well, not even dozens, you'll see tons of different iterations from first gen to second gen to the Veloster N. So this is really exciting because technically, like I said, the Elantra GT N-Line was the first N vehicle. The first abundant N-Line vehicle was the Sonata N-Line from last year, but that car is quite expensive at about $34,000 plus, depending on configuration and shipping charges. So this kind of falls in a sweet spot. But that leads me to my caveat, and the reason why, even though this is an important step forward, it's also kind of a step back for what Hyundai was originally doing with the R Spec, and kind of why I feel like it was a huge missed opportunity and an unfortunate one at that. Well, the Veloster R Spec and the Genesis Coupe R Spec were kind of Hyundai's, I guess, attempt at performance. There was one thing that really kind of made them stand out over other options, and that was the affordability. You see, the R Spec Veloster, even in the second gen iteration, was essentially the bare bones lowest turbo model offering they had. And of course that came at a slight price as far as luxuries go. But for people that really are interested in kind of performance, there's a lot of people that, you know, would willingly sacrifice luxuries in the sake of saving a buck, especially when it comes to getting a few bonuses that are more focused for the enthusiastic driver. So for example, in the Veloster, you did get a short throw shifter. It did not come with an option of getting an automatic or a DCT. It was a 6-speed manual all the way. And then of course, the little kind of touch of flair was the red interior. But again, there was a lot of, you couldn't get a tech package, you didn't get push to start, and that saved you quite a bit because from my original estimates back in the day when I was looking at it, a Veloster Turbo to an R Spec, there was about a $3,000 to $4,000 difference. And if you went for a Veloster Turbo Ultimate, you were easily close to $30,000 just because of the tech package and all the little extras, bells and whistles, of course. The Elantra N-Line starts at about $25,000 for the 6-speed, and the dual clutch transmission version that I test drove is about $26,000. Again, depending on where you live, there might be some deals, but that's the ballpark price. And if you're keeping track of the math, that's anywhere from $4,000 to $5,000 more than what the R Spec was. And of course, technically, even though the R Spec still exists, it's getting even harder and harder, almost close to impossible, to finding a Veloster R Spec. You would honestly just have to go with a base turbo model to get that particular engine platform. And even more so, unfortunately, the manual platform is just dying as a thing. You know, it's not just Hyundai, it's just cars in general. And it's clear to see because right now, as of the time of me making this video, you can't find a Elantra N-Line in a manual variation yet. They are on order from many dealerships, but the ones that you can find, if you were to go out today to go buy one is going to be a dual clutch version. And the reason is simple: automatics sell faster than stick shift. Many people don't even know how to drive manual, as sad as that sounds. So there's a little bit of loss there. Even all the way to the N models now, it's getting harder and harder to find a Veloster N in the manual that it originally came with, but it's getting a lot easier to find it in the all-new 8-speed dual clutch wet transmission that they just offered for it. So again, if you're interested in getting to that higher level, you're probably going to struggle to find the manual variation, because again, that's just the way things are going. So while I admit that you are getting more things for the price, like I said, these are just luxuries that for someone that just wants a car to be able to drive spiritedly, as welcoming as those features are, they come at a price that sometimes we would be willing to kind of sacrifice those things for. For example, the N-Line does come with nicer 18-inch wheels. That's a given. It comes with, better tires. And I'll give you the perfect example. The only thing that the N-Line comes with that is actually kind of performance oriented over all the other Elantra models is the fact that it comes with independent rear suspension as opposed to the base and the ultimate configurations. So great for the enthusiastic driver, but things that we don't need are, for example, wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. I mean, it's nice to have it, but you don't need to add the wireless iteration. It just kind of adds expense. Again, wireless charging comes standard, heated seats, things like that. And again, like I said, if this is something that you really just want because you want a new car that has those features, that's great. I mean, this is probably going to be for you. But the N-Line is a hard bargain, especially if you're looking at a dual clutch model, because again, it's $26,000. Depending on where you live, for an extra $4,000 or $5,000, you could just get an N. So that's why it's kind of a hard sell, especially because let's say that you were willing to forego those extra things to save the money. You can't. You're kind of stuck with that higher price tag just to get the vehicle. And the vehicle, like I said, is amazing. It's refined. They've come a long way, honestly. It's a really great car. But I digress. That's kind of my little thing there. Expect the N-Line to essentially replace the R Spec line. There's kind of rumors that that's kind of what's going to happen, that the R Spec line, even though technically still exists, might just be done away with entirely in favor of N-Lines. And again, that makes sense because N is now their performance badge. So we'll see how that goes, but I honestly see it going that way. Again, all isn't lost. There's a lot of stuff that's coming out for the KDM community as a whole. It's really exciting. I know I was focused on the N badging, and I know that on the Kia side we have GT as their thing. I'm not going to dive into that. I'm kind of a little more biased to the Hyundai side with this channel. I'm not saying anything against K5s or Kia Optimas or anything like that. I'm just saying it's my focus. And with that bombshell, your boy is selling out. I'm completely kidding, but it kind of feels like that. Because unfortunately, it does look like the R Spec branding is kind of going out the window. I plan this year to take my little R Spec Life brand spin-off and kind of focus more on it, but I've completely rebranded it just to kind of bring awareness to the culture, to the KDM side. So it is now going to be called N Life. This is the logo, as you see right here. For those of you that have been following R Spec Life on Instagram, you'll see the rebranding has already been basically uploaded for probably about a month. I've been planning on this, but I wanted to wait. Honestly, this video was pretty much done, but I literally wanted to wait until I could see the Elantra N-Line in person and make a video with it. So if you guys want to get my take on it, my little critiques and whatnot from a tuner's perspective, then that video should be coming in next week, along with, finally, I got parts in, for the vehicles that I've been waiting forever. Thank you, COVID, making shipping times last forever. But we're back, like I mentioned. So, hey, in the comments down below, let me know what you guys think. Do you think R Spec was probably kind of the better thing to have gone with? Do you prefer the philosophy behind the whole bare bones cheaper aspect? Or do you think the N-Lines are just better and you don't mind paying that extra, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 difference in the name of extra luxury features to the performance side? Let me know what you guys think. I would love to hear from you. As always, keep it nice and friendly. Don't get offended. But as always, guys, Thanks for all the love and support. Sorry that I was blabbing on, but this is kind of a big moment, you know, this year. Like I said, there's a lot of N-line vehicles dropping, and of course, the rumored Elantra N. Well, it's not rumored. There's spy pictures of it. But that's it, guys. Please be safe. Keep doing you, and I will definitely see you guys very soon in the next video. Bye.